Well, I'm joined in the studio now by the journalist Yasmin Alabai-Brown and Masood Shajara from the Islamic Human Rights Commission. And in Birmingham is the Labour MP Khalid Mahmood. Let me start with you, Khalid Mahmood. You've heard what that teacher said. Do you believe that this is not about Islamicisation or extremism, but just about raising standards for underprivileged kids?
Well, no, I don't. And if that was just the case, that would be a very laudable thing to do. The evidence that I've had from teachers, from some of the parents, some of the children themselves, and what that gentleman was saying, honestly, is not the picture that I see in these schools and the way it's been operated. I've had teachers, head teachers, who'd suffered huge amount of intimidation by these governors who've come on, and in some instances, Muslim head teachers and teachers have been pushed out of their posts because they didn't fit in the ideals that these people were talking about. So don't come to me and say this is not about any of this, because the proof on the ground is very much so. And I would challenge anybody to come and speak to those people that have been sacked, that have been moved out, that have been pushed out, that have been harassed, governors that have been moved out. And now the Birmingham City Council's had over 200 letters specifically making some of those allegations and the way the governors are appointed to their schools.
OK, Masood Shajara, the point is these are state schools.
What are the state schools? But the reality is that, this whole allegation has come up with a letter which was, now there is no basis that this was a genuine letter. And there is an investigation which...
Yeah, but there's an admission that they were packing the place with Muslim teachers and governors, deliberately.
Many parts of even London, ethnic minorities are being encouraged to come into areas and be teachers in areas that are ethnic minorities majority. There's nothing wrong with that. To bring in anti-terrorism deputy commissioner, it actually turning in this whole episode into an issue of terrorism rather than how our school should or should not run. And I'm actually very concerned with the heavy-handed sort of way that this has been dealt with.
Yasmin Alabai-Brown, how religious should any state school be allowed to be?
I think it's a bigger problem. First of all, I didn't believe anything that the teacher said, by the way. I think that was complete whitewash. I do agree with Khalid, because I too have a lot of evidence. I've even been into schools and made films. It's just not true what he said. But
so what do you think is actually going on then?
It is exactly what a lot of people suspect, that there is a push for Wahhabi Islamicization of some schools.
Wahhabi meaning?
Meaning the Saudi version of Islam, which is not the Islam I grew up with, and probably not the Islam most majority want to be with. But you should go into the city of Leicester and see what they've done there. You should go into Birmingham and see what they've done there. It's absolutely not credible what that guy said. But the broader issue is religion in schools is getting too strong. All religions, I mean Christian schools as well, and Jewish schools. I think we need to rethink the entire basis for state-funded religious education.
I think this is another argument that should we have secular schools and not religious schools. And the reality is that most people, even in our research, show that they go for religious school because they achieve so much better. And even on these cases, we are seeing
I'll bring you in a second, Khalid Mahmood.
We are seeing very clearly that there has been an improvement. Ordinary parents, be it Muslims or not, want basic education.
Okay. Khalid Mahmood, yeah, go on, come in on what you were going to...
These are state schools, they're not Muslim schools to start off with, so turning them into something that they're not. I'd much rather them come out in the open and say, we want to have these Muslim schools with this Islamic school of thought and ideology, and tell the parents and give them a clear option to do that. This has never been done in any of these schools. This has been done by stealth by these people, and then most of the community still find it difficult to understand. I've been out in the community, spoken to them, and told them what's going on.
But what about Yasmin Alabai-Brown's point that this is about religion in schools? If you allow any kind of religion, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, or anything else in British schools, it's only a matter of time before this is going to happen in a place like Birmingham with a high Muslim population.
Yeah, I think I basically agree with Yasmin, because what you've got to do is keep education secular, but to a point where you actually inform pupils of all religions and the basis of all those religions, what they're based on, so they can talk to a colleague, a person in the street, and understand where they're coming from.
Well, that's very interesting. So the Labour government, which expanded faith schools, got this massively wrong then?
Yes, they did. They did. Come on, Khalid. They got it massively wrong.
No, I've never been in favour of any of this, because what it does it segregates people in communities. And I've said for a long time, since 2001 I've been in Parliament, is that if we want to move forward in these inner city areas and the UK as a whole, then what we've got to do is have a system which binds community together rather than segregating them.
Masood Jarrett, why do you need to bring in the religion to address what may be very legitimate concerns about underprivilege or difficulties with children from Muslim backgrounds? Well, it is not the religion that is the problem, is it? It's his other things. It's poverty, it's the educational background they've got at home, the help they've got from parents. Those are the real issues.
No, there are a whole lot of issues. These are not separated. You know, the reality is that if we go by what Khalid and Yasmin are saying, then we are not going to give the whole section of community who are religious the choice. You know, parental choice is parental choice.
Have a choice.
We are not forcing, and I don't believe in our education we should force either people into secular section or to the religious section. It should be parental choice, and the statistic shows religious education is actually.
But if you want to talk about choice, but what parent from a non-Muslim background would choose to send their children to one of these state schools?
Look, I think that's a red herring. I'm sorry. Can I just say one thing?
Hang on, let him just answer that point.
I think actually forcing people in this situation is wrong, and if that is happening here, needs to be addressed. But what I'm saying is the other argument of the religion within the school, there is a valid point that is religious schools achieving a lot more, and it's a choice that should be given to
Yasmin Al-Brown.
None of us. I didn't go to a religious-based school. I doubt that Khalid did. I don't know anybody who has made a real name for themselves from the Muslim community will say, I am doing what I'm doing because I went to a religious school. It just is a false assumption that only religious schools can give you the education you need. And it's not just Muslim schools. I think Hindu schools and Jewish schools, all of them need to question.
I know this debate is only just getting going, but we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us. I'm sure we'll pick it up again soon.